We're continuing at Lynchburg today to take a look at the second day of the battle. After darkness halted the fighting on the first day, the 54th Pennsylvania were relieved and fell back 400 yards behind the front lines. Corporal Jonas Kaufman remembered, when darkness overtook us, we laid in a line of battle all night. Every now and then the enemy would let us know he was not sleeping, and we would return the compliment in the same way to let him know that he wakened us up out of a good night's sleep. General David Hunter believed he could capture Lynchburg the next day, but Confederate General Jubal Early spent the night bringing up and repositioning reinforcements. When dawn broke, General Hunter ordered his men to probe the entire Confederate front. He sent Colonel Campbell's brigade on an abortive attempt to flank the lightly held Confederate left flank, but the terrain proved too difficult and General Crook ordered the flanking force to return. While they were gone, the Confederates launched an attack of their own from this position and started driving the Union infantry back. The 54th Pennsylvania returned in time to help stop the Confederate advance. Colonel Campbell later wrote, "We were for some time exposed to the enemy's batteries, which were well served with grape and canister." Private Cone added, "Laid in the woods about 20 minutes. The rebels shelled the woods." General Crook's detachment formed a battle line with the 54th Pennsylvania on the extreme left, so that would be off to our right. Together with the remnants of General Jeremiah Sullivan's men, they stopped the second Confederate attack. General Sullivan ordered a charge and the Federal line surged forward. The Federal advance drove the Confederates back down the hill, across a deep ravine, and into the entrenchments of the outer line. The deep ravine is directly in front of us on the other side of the University of Lynchburg dorm buildings that you can see. There's some trees behind it, and that ground gradually drops down into a very steep ravine. The 54th Pennsylvania joined the pursuit immediately. Confederate artillery targeted the Pennsylvanians with a heavy concentrated fire of shell, grape, and canister for a distance of about 800 yards. The men continued forward towards the enemy entrenchments at the base of the hill. Major Yutzy described the Confederate line. "At the foot of the hill, I found the enemy strongly posted in a deep ditch, concealed by the thick weeds and underbrush. Retreating Confederates reached the rifle pits. The pursuing Federals were right behind them." Major Yutzy ordered the 54th Pennsylvania to charge and drove them in confusion from this position. Private Cone recalled, "We fired off in the left and charged on their rifle pits and artillery." Colonel Campbell saw the slaughter and ordered his brigade to stop before they entered the clearing. After passing through the thick underbrush and the ravine, Major Yutzy reorganized his command as they had become somewhat broken in consequence of crossing a deep ditch, as well as to give the men a moment's rest before making the final assault. The brigade crested the hill and saw Confederates around a house, stable, and ice house between them and the main Confederate line, which would be a little bit further behind us. Colonel Campbell ordered his brigade to charge. The 54th Pennsylvania gallantly rushed forward with a shout and drove the enemy from their shelters in utter confusion. They easily captured the buildings and continued forward. Now in the open, the Confederates opened a deadly fire of musketry and a storm of grape and canister. "Here we received the hottest musketry fire of the day, and it was here that most of our comrades fell," recalled Major Yutzy. "Both officers and men behaved with their usual gallantry and bravery. No hesitating or faltering in the face of the enemy's fire. All discharged their duty faithfully and cheerfully." Confederate fire slowed portions of the 54th Pennsylvania's lines and completely halted other sections. Many later remembered the closest Confederate battery became particularly annoying, pouring upon them grape and canister. Some of the men in the regiment started to look for a safe avenue of escape. In Company B, the Confederate fire wounded Captain John Cole, leaving his men without a commissioned officer to lead them. The moment called for intrepid action from someone in authority. It came from an unlikely source. Seeing his comrades starting to waver, 21-year-old Private John Mostoller yelled, "Come on, boys, we will charge on the battery." The men rallied, and together they continued the attack. The charge of the 54th Pennsylvania terrorized the enemy gunners by the sheer audacity of the attack and saved an entire brigade of the Union Army from certain destruction or capture. The enemy battery was hastily removed from fear of their capture. For his efforts, Private Mostoller received the Congressional Medal of Honor in 1894. Without additional support, the 54th Pennsylvania's momentum slowed. With men falling all around him, Colonel Campbell ordered the 3rd Brigade to fall back to the opposite side of the hill. They stayed until late in the evening, occasionally exchanging fire with the Confederates. General Hunter issued orders for the advance units of his army to fall back. A worried General Hunter realized he no longer had a numerical advantage over just dismounted cavalry and local militia. All of the celebration, all of the optimism displayed earlier in the campaign vanished. General Hunter and his staff heard the train whistles and correctly guessed more Confederates arrived to reinforce Lynchburg. General Hunter started planning for the retreat. Thank you for watching this episode of In the Footsteps of the 54th.